Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Week 7 is officially upon us, and while we do have 4 ranked versus ranked matchups, all of which we will be breaking down here on the channel, we've got a handful of games that are kind of flying under the radar. A handful of very underrated games that definitely will play an impact on how some of these conference races shape up and shake out. So today, guys, we're here to break down those 5 most underrated games heading into this college football weekend, sharing our predictions for each, and getting ready for another major college football Saturday. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including these expert picks right here over on the gridironexpert.com. We are on a 36-15 run right now. It's freaking believable. We're killing it, just like we've done each of the last 5 years when we've beat out over 80% of the national handicappers. So if you want guaranteed winnings, if you want money right back in your pocket, if you want to hop in on this run, because it's only going to continue to get better, you need to go sign up today. Go sign up over on the gridironexpert.com. It's a full year-long subscription, so you buy now, you're going to get it through week 7 of next year. It's never too late to sign up, and we want you to sign up so you can start winning big with us. Again, the link for that down in the description below. Do not miss out. So let's take a look at week 7. Let's take a look at these underrated games. And this one right here up at the top is one that I think people probably won't be watching as much, but you need to. Tulane at Memphis. This is a fun game. Both teams coming off a bye week. Both teams coming in at 4-1 with both of their losses coming to SEC programs. Tulane losing to Ole Miss back in week 2. Memphis falling by 7 to Missouri just a few weeks ago. This game is huge for the American Athletic Conference and possibly for a New Year's 6 bowl berth. Keep in mind, guys, the highest ranked Group of 5 conference champion goes to a New Year's 6 bowl. That was Tulane last year. Went on to win the conference, played USC, won the Cotton Bowl. Can the Green Wave get back to that, or will Memphis give the Green Wave their second loss and ultimately ruin any shot of them maybe making that New Year's 6 bowl game? You look at this game, guys. These two teams are very even in my eyes. It's going to be a great quarterback battle. Michael Pratt of Tulane leading an offense that's averaging over 230 passing yards per game. Seth Hennigan for Memphis already thrown for over 1,300 yards and leading an offense that averages over 277 passing yards per game. Both teams have solid rushing attacks, each averaging over 159 rushing yards per game on the year. So offensively, these two teams are very, very even, and the same could be said for them defensively as well. You might mention that Tulane has the slight defensive edge, but to me, it's not significant. It's not a significant edge here. And I'm leaning towards Memphis in this game. I think Memphis owns the offensive edge. I have more faith in Seth Hennigan and this Memphis offense to get the job done. And I think the home field advantage plays a pretty big role here as well. Memphis gave Tulane a fight last year, only losing 38-28. And I think if Memphis can go in there and just contain the Tulane ground game, force Michael Pratt to win this game through the air, something he's certainly capable of, but not something that Tulane wants to do, that the Tigers will emerge with a victory. I think that's exactly what happens. Memphis goes to 5-1, keeps their hopes for a New Year's 6 bowl berth alive. The American Athletic Conference, guys, is down this year. UTSA hasn't lived up to the hype. Tulane really hasn't lived up to the hype. Memphis has an opportunity to snag a huge win at home and keep themselves alive to return to a New Year's 6 bowl game, just like they did a handful of years ago when they played in the Cotton Bowl against Penn State. Number 23, Kansas at Oklahoma State. This is a fun one in the Big 12 and a big one for the Big 12. Kind of an elimination game for these two teams in terms of their hopes of making the Big 12 championship game. Obviously, Oklahoma is the front runner right now. Texas certainly still in the mix despite losing to Oklahoma this last week. But the winner of this game kind of keeps themselves alive because they'll only have one conference loss. The loser will drop to 2 losses, probably going to take themselves out of that equation. You look at this, Kansas, big win over UCF last week. Oklahoma State, a big win over Kansas State last week. A pretty big upset in Stillwater last Friday night. You look at this game, guys. The question right now is, will Jalen Daniels play? Will Jalen Daniels play at quarterback for Kansas? He missed that Texas game right before kickoff, and then right before kickoff again, found out that he would not be playing against UCF, going to give the nod to Jason Bean, who honestly had played relatively well, was solid against Texas, even though they got destroyed there, was very solid against UCF, although the Jayhawks relied heavily on the ground game. And that's exactly what they're going to do against Oklahoma State. And that's exactly how they're going to win this game against Oklahoma State, is by leaning on the ground game. Devin Neal has been phenomenal. 593 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year. The Jayhawks averaging over 230 rushing yards per game. The Cowboys, they're giving up over 154 rushing yards per game. The Cowboys now will be facing the best offense they have seen all year long. They haven't really faced a tough schedule in terms of offenses. This will be the best they have seen. And the Cowboys offensively themselves, wildly inconsistent. You never know which team's going to show up. Is the team going to show up like they did against South Alabama, or will they show up like they did last week against a good Kansas State team? We don't know. I like Kansas better. I like their consistency better. I like their offense better. Their defense has drastically improved from last year. They beat Oklahoma State by 21 points last year, 37-16. I know it's on the road, but give me the Jayhawks to pull off a massive win and keep their Big 12 title hopes alive as they inch closer and closer to yet another bowl game, clinching bowl eligibility again under Lance Leipold, which is an unbelievable turnaround in Lawrence. Big Ten play, Iowa at Wisconsin. The home team in this matchup has won the last 4 games. So in theory, you're going to just pick Wisconsin, right? We are picking Wisconsin, but not necessarily because the game is at home. This game's massive for the Big Ten West, right? It's a weak division right now with Iowa and Wisconsin really sitting up there at the top. Wisconsin 4-1 overall, 2-0 in conference play. Iowa 5-1, 2-1 in conference play. So this is big for whoever gets this game to own that tiebreaker over the other. It's going to play a major role in how this division shakes out, who may ultimately get to the Big Ten championship game. Iowa obviously suffered a huge loss a few weeks ago when they lost Cade McNamara for the year. Guy was supposed to come in, drastically improve his Iowa offense, and he gets hurt. Horrible, horrible break for the Hawkeyes. Despite that loss of him, they still beat Purdue 20-14 at Kinnick Stadium last week, mostly thanks to 181 rushing yards on the day. Wisconsin, on the other hand, they're very efficient, right? You know, Luke Fickell's era hasn't gotten off to the best start in the world. I mean, he's still 4-1, only lost to a good Washington State team. I wouldn't say that's disappointing. They're really as balanced as you can get. 209 passing yards, 204 rushing yards. They are just dominating teams left and right, especially when it comes to the advantage here. And offensively, they certainly do. Wisconsin, 413 yards per game compared to Iowa's 249. Both defenses extremely strong. What else would you expect? That's the way it's been for years between Iowa and Wisconsin. That's what you'd expect in a very physical Big Ten West matchup. But you got to go with the Badgers here. You got to go with the Badgers, a team that offensively is significantly better than Iowa, a team that defensively can match Iowa, and a team that does have home field advantage in this game. And I think this Wisconsin defense makes life very, very difficult for Deacon Hill, the backup new quarterback for Iowa in this game. Don't think he's able to handle this type of road environment. The Hawkeyes struggle to get any points. They will score, but they'll struggle to clip some more than 10 points. Wisconsin escapes with a big win. They clinched their 5th win of the season, remain undefeated in conference play. Gets them one step closer to Indianapolis. How about the Midwest? I did not have on my college football bingo card for 2023, I didn't have myself talking about Wyoming as much as I have. I didn't have myself talking about the Mountain West as much as I have. Yet here we are for the 2nd week in a row. Wyoming makes our big board. Wyoming cracked our GE top 25. The Cowboys taking on Air Force in a major game for the Mountain West. Wyoming has kind of been the Cinderella story this year. They're 5-1 on the season. They beat Texas Tech last week, getting a massive ranked victory over Fresno State. Cowboys 2-0 in conference play. Air Force, though, has just been dominant. Undefeated, 5-0, 3-0 in conference play. Currently, these two teams are at the top of the Mountain West standings. So kind of like Iowa, Wisconsin, this is big when it comes to who can maybe win the conference, who can get to that Mountain West championship game. Air Force, we know what they want to do. They want to run the ball, 330 rushing yards per game. That's what they do. And they have won every game so far this year by at least 10 points. They are absolutely dominant on both sides of the ball. Wyoming's run defense, a little bit shaky at times, 141 rushing yards per game. That's what they're giving up. They've got to find a way to limit that. Wyoming's got to find a way to get some push up front, limit Air Force into some 2nd and 3rd and long situations, and not allow them to control the clock for 8 and 9 minutes at a time. They've got to find a way to get Air Force off the field quickly, forcing a lot of 3 and outs, finding a way to get their offense back out on the field. Wyoming themselves have a pretty good rushing attack, 173 rushing yards per game, led by Harrison Whaley, who's rushed for over 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. But this Air Force defense, guys, you talk about the Wyoming defense and what they've got to do. Air Force defense kind of goes out there and makes everything look effortless for them. They're only giving up 224 yards per game. They're very, very stingy. I know the strength of schedule hasn't necessarily been there for the Falcons, but I think at home, where they play extremely, extremely well, they find a way to take down Wyoming in what I think is a very physical game, especially up front at the line of scrimmage. Maybe a relatively low-scoring game. Keep in mind, last year, Wyoming did beat the Falcons, beat them 17-14, so low scoring there. But Air Force gets their revenge. Home field advantage playing a big, big role. The Falcons improved to 6-0. Could crack the top 25 next week. And you talk about Tulane and Memphis and guys like that maybe crashing the New Year's Six bowl party. Air Force could do the exact same, especially if they can run the table all the way. Last game up here, guys, Missouri and number 24, Kentucky. This, to me, could be a battle for number 2 in the East. Obviously, Tennessee certainly still in the mix there, and we'll see how Kentucky and Kentucky and Missouri fare against those opponents later on. But both teams right now are at 5-1. Both teams coming off very crushing losses. Missouri falling by 10 at home to LSU. Kentucky getting destroyed on the road against Georgia. So again, this could be a battle for second place in the East when it's all said and done. And the winner for this game does clinch bowl eligibility, which is a big deal for both programs. You look at last year, Kentucky getting the win over Missouri, beating them 21-17 on a controversial roughing the punter call. Yeah, we know we can get into that if we want to, but been there, done that. Let's focus on the now. Missouri coming into this game, obviously wanting this win, obviously wanting revenge after that controversial finish last year. Kentucky, is there a Georgia hangover? They didn't just get beat by Georgia. They got destroyed by Georgia, 51-13, outgained by nearly 500 yards. I mean, it was absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing, and a really bad performance following up their dominant win over Florida. You look at this game. Missouri, to me, owns the better offense here. No doubt about it. Brady Cook has been phenomenal. Has thrown for nearly 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's it. Both those coming last week against LSU. Cody Schrader, nearly 600 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. Luther Burton, finally emerging, playing really well. 793 reception yards and 5 touchdowns on the year. It's been phenomenal. Kentucky, you could argue, has the better defense, but bottom line is neither team has a good defense. Neither team has played well defensively, and especially in the secondary. Both secondaries have been torched all year long. And I'm looking at this game and I say, give me Missouri. Give me the Tigers. They have a better passing attack. Right now, I've been more impressed with Brady Cook than I have been with Devin Leary. I've been more impressed with their passing attack than I have been with Kentucky's passing attack. I personally don't think Kentucky should even be ranked right now, if you're being honest. That matters in the outcome of the game. But I like Missouri's offense a lot better. I like this team to bounce back a little bit more than Kentucky, who, yes, does have home field advantage. But if Missouri's defense can show up and shut down Ray Davis, can shut down that run game, and force Devin Leary to win the game through the air, I don't think he'll be able to do it. I think the Tigers can come in and get revenge after losing a heartbreaker at home last year. So give me the Tigers to improve to 6-1, mostly behind the strength of Brady Cook and that passing attack. Kentucky drops to 5-2. They'll go bowling, but obviously a disappointing 2-game stretch after that big win over Florida. There you go, guys. 5 underrated games heading into week 7 of this college football season. We'll have every single ranked versus ranked matchup coming your way starting tomorrow right here on the channel. Do not miss out on that. But these are some games you need to watch out for. They're going to be exciting. They're going to be entertaining. They're going to be close. And by season's end, they're going to look back and say, man, these games played a major role in how some of these conferences shaped out. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on thegridironexpert.com. 36-15 run. You're not going to find picks like that anywhere else. We can promise you that. You're not going to find winnings like that anywhere else. You're not going to find customer service like that anywhere else. This is the place for you. Full year-long subscription. Go sign up for those picks today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.